Hello everyone, it is the build-up show. We are back from our mid-season break, or whatever you want to call it. I say mid-season break, me and Chris are. The rest of the lads have been here doing all the work. Liverpool, Norwich, away from home, Carrow Road, 5:30, kick-off on the Saturday. I'm joined by Mr. Chris Page, the man himself. Fresh and revitalised?
Absolutely not.
Because it turns out life is just hard in general. Like, yeah. John Machin and Ross Chanley round out our contingent for the day. Chris, back from the break. Destiny awaits the mighty Red.
I love that. It does, and it's not going to be long, is it? I mean, I don't know. I keep catching people at the laptops looking at league tables, much more so than in any other year, and fixture list. I mean, one of the guys I've been doing a bit of work with over the last sort of couple of weeks, he's literally got all of his work and then ours and City's fixture lists just in a PNG file or a JPEG or something. And like, you should have seen him when the West Ham game got called off for City. He was like, oh, what does this mean? So he's going to have to, it's a JPEG, so we can't change it. So he's going back in and he's having to change it and he's re-exporting his JPEGs and stuff. And he's like, well, where can we win the league table? And like, everyone's become a mathematician all of a sudden. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We're going to win this league. It is about when, but of course, there's a little matter of Norwich first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, is that they've had the break. I know there'll be an international break at some point coming up before too long, because there always is. There's always something, isn't there?
End of March.
Thanks, Ross. Again, whatever.
Be won by then.
Yeah, well, that's the hope, isn't it? And that's what this is all about now. Is it's been a night. It was a nice time for it, I think. A nice time for the players to get a little bit of relaxation, a bit of R&R, bit of that, whatever you want to call it, rest and recuperation. It's there. It's tangible. It's in front of us. That's the goal now. You can see the end point, because the end point it would be too far if the end point was mid-May. But the fact that you're a month, 6 weeks maybe away.
Well, yeah, that's because we've done so well. It's all going to be won so early, and it's just right in your face now, isn't it? And I still have a suspicion that we'll probably win it and won't even know we've won it, right? Because teams will drop points later on in the season they might not otherwise have done. And we'll end up only needing like 88 points rather than 90, or whatever. Yeah. But we'll have to go and get 90 or 91 because we won't know. Yeah. So it's not far off now.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it all, Ross? It is. It felt like I didn't think we realised quite how much it was needed until you're in it. We're going to talk about the players who are available and what have you, but just having that little bit of an air break between the post-festive season really, and now what's driving forward into spring and the end of the season is a good thing. Yeah,
I think it's massively important, the mental break as well that the players get as well. We're in this, and we've been tired. Obviously, you're used to have your break and stuff, but that's needed because it's so intense for us. It must be even worse to them. Equally, Jurgen Klopp, he probably needed a break, because I'd hate to think what goes through his mind on a daily basis. So the fact they've all gone and done their own thing, they could have just sat back, like, if that was me, right, and put my feet up for a week, and they're off to Dubai, but the training, they're off in a little training session at James Milner Stadium. The fact that everyone's coming back and they're all fit, I think we were talking this morning, it might be the first time I had a full squad since the beginning of the season. Healthy competitive for places on top of that, and pushing towards the title. It's all good news, isn't it?
We were talking upstairs, and Tom literally went, well, Alisson got injured first game of the season, so we've definitely not had a full squad since then. Yeah. And now,
and Klein, by the way.
Careful. We've got a full squad right now, because we've gotten used to life without Nathaniel Klein.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the bench.
Such a shame, innit? Nathaniel Klein's such a good player. It's mad how we can be like.
He's like Wan-Bissaka. He's a good right back.
He's better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
He was a good right back. No one has a clue what he's going to be like.
Anyway, we're being nice, John.
He's been out so long, isn't he? Poor thing.
I said careful. Let's carry on. Yes. What was your point?
I'd finished, mate. Okay. You carry on drinking your tea, and when you're ready, you can carry on hosting.
But I think, the mental thing for Liverpool as well, they'd have looked at those fixtures coming up. They might have done something similar, that when can we win it, but they want to play all those games that will come in and get it done as soon as possible. But on the other side, I'd look at Norwich's fixtures, at what they've got. And it's all right for them having a break as well, but they've next 5 fixtures are Liverpool at home, Wolves away, Leicester at home, Spurs away, Sheffield United away. They've spent 2 weeks just shitting themselves, thinking we need to fucking get these things.
Look, when you're bottom of the table, every game's a tough game. Genuinely, isn't it? Because they're all better than you. Yeah. That's the thing. Liverpool, what you've got it down here, 55 points ahead of Norwich. If there was ever a time for Liverpool to get beaten, this is the one.
It's funny, and I never felt there would be a 55-point gap between us and them when we played them at Anfield. Thought they looked a really, really tidy outfit, you know, really attacking, really went at us. They actually, you know, we didn't realise this for a while. I think Salzburg kind of upped the ante on this a bit, but they set a bit of a template for how best to give Liverpool a bloody nose, and that's just to go at us, you know, try and attack us, try and cause us problems. And yeah, I do feel really, really sorry for Norwich, but not in any way that has any kind of emotional impact on my life.
They were always a bit reliant on Pukki scoring goals, weren't they? And as soon as they dried up, which they did after about 5 or 6 games, then they really started to struggle. And I think he's only just started scoring goals
He's
again.
got 2 in his last 3, so he's back into a little bit of form, if nothing else. But you're right. He's the kind of player who we do. You know, we play a high line, and we were very new in that style of play at the time. And you know, sticking the ball over the top and having someone pacey run it down, it's going to cause you a problem no matter how good your defenders are. We're going to talk a little bit more about the game and the Mighty Reds in more depth and detail in a moment. But first, it's time for the Football Index update. Hello everyone, it is the Football Index update. I have been set a challenge by the people at the Index. They give me £1,000 to put into my portfolio. The proceeds that I generate from this will go to a charity of our choice. Things have been going really well, surprisingly well so far. Not to, you know, do myself down or out of my football opinion in any way, shape or form, but yeah, it's been fine. Last time out, we decided to get rid of Sadio Mane to bring in Mohamed Salah. That hasn't worked. That hasn't worked particularly well. He's trading slightly down at the moment. He was bought in for £4.12 a share, of which we have 12. That's down 7 pence at the moment, which is fine. I think once he gets up and running and back into goal scoring form and stealing the headlines again, that should sort itself out largely. I went for Neymar. Now, against my better judgment, I'm going to be perfectly honest, because I'm not a huge Neymar fan or whatever. I think I'm just a little bit too old to get him. But the point is, we put out a poll on the Redmen Twitter, and we asked you for your advice on who the top players we should have been bringing into the portfolio. We went for Neymar. He was the clear favourite. He was the clear winner. He was up for a short amount of time, but now, yeah, he's right back to exactly what we brought him in for. So, yeah, it's still trading at £8.49. So, nothing. Flat dead zero on that at the moment. But look, when the Champions League comes back, I'm sure that'll kick into high gear as well. The big success we've had, obviously Kai Havertz is starting to generate more headlines because of transfers and what have you, so that's been a positive. Kurt Jones is flying, absolutely fine. We've made 26.88. We're up on him on the portfolio thus far, and obviously Trent as well. Oxlade-Chamberlain has very slightly turned the corner, as has Joe Gomez, who I was very, very, very close to ridding myself of because I couldn't understand why he's in the form of his life, but it wasn't on the increase. He is on the increase, so I feel very, very lucky that I didn't pull a trigger on that. That wasn't really my good decision, so that was just pure luck. Listen, I'm still going to need your advice. I'm still going to need your help. We've still got 99.59 available in the balance to put into new talent, whether we grow our shares in the existing players, or do we bring in someone else, someone maybe like Timo Werner, or is there another Liverpool player that you think we should absolutely go for? Let us know in the comments section underneath here. That'll be a massive help. Other than that, yeah, the Football Index, I've got an instructional video over on their YouTube channel if you want to know the nuts and bolts and how to get involved with Football Index. Make sure you head over there and check that out. We'll link to that in the description underneath. But yeah, that is the update for now. Please give me your advice. Other than that, back to the show. Yeah, make sure you get involved with Football Index. Go and check out their YouTube channel if you want more information on how to get involved and how the mechanics of the whole Football Index works. Dad, I think one of the players I think who probably needed the rest more than most, and it's funny because there's some obvious candidates you'd think for that, but Andy Robertson for me is the one. You know, he's the guy there who's just got, there's been no natural cover for him. Milner going down didn't help this in any way, shape or form. I think we saw with obviously Larouci very, very raw, still nowhere near ready to be a first team competitor. We got our first glimpses of Adam Lewis as a senior player in the Cup. But he's the one, I think, we've seen how important our fullbacks are to how we play. He'd be the one who I'd have been doing everything in my power to make sure his break was as perfect as it could be.
And was it?
Well, like, he was in Scotland doing it with his high foot up.
Everyone else went to Dubai and the Maldives and Florida. He went to Scotland to have a few Mars bars.
Yeah,
Battered Mars bars. Brilliant. St Andrews.
He's going to be even paler when he comes back than when he went.
Everyone's going to come back with the tans. And he's just got like,
but the thing is, if he went away somewhere warm, he'd still come back pasty, so at least he doesn't have that.
No,
he's got an excuse this time, hasn't he?
You
know, I've not got the sun because I went somewhere that never sunny.
But there's a list of players, isn't there, because in our squad there who we just don't have replacements for, and he's probably the one that gets talked about the least in some regard, because everyone goes on about Virgil van Dijk, and obviously we've lived in an Alisson-less world for a bit. We've now lived in a Fabinho-less world. Firmino's probably the only other one, but Andy Robertson, as you know, he had that ankle injury, didn't he, around the turn of the year, and people have stopped talking about it. But also, I just think his levels have dropped.
No,
but it's to be expected.
Yeah, it is, and I was really starting to worry a little bit about him because I didn't think his form was quite there, and that ankle injury probably had a little bit to do with it. But the last 2 games before the break, I felt like he stepped it up again, and we started to see the Andy Robertson that we've become accustomed to for so long now. But I think you're right. I think if there's any player there, I think Trent's the other one, isn't he? Because he's young.
Yeah.
Whereas Robertson felt like he was just sort of really starting to max out. Yeah, exactly. Whereas I never really felt that way with Alexander-Arnold, although he needs the break because he's young.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm looking forward to seeing Robbo back firing, back fresh, and you know, causing havoc down that left-hand side.
The thing about it, Ross, I spoke about this the other week, and how Klopp likes to refresh things. It's why they change the training kits when they get into the new year, just so the players feel like it just gives them a small psychological lift or whatever. But I bet Melwood was just amazing this week when they all came back into training. They've all got a bunch of stories to tell, because that's the thing that we forget about sometimes, is that, you know, they bunker down, don't they, when they're in the midst of it. They all live in each other's pockets, and it's a very close-knit thing. I imagine they're all driving through the pain, but there must come a point where we don't really get it. It's not talked about a lot. There's a physical break, but the mental break's a massive part of that as well. You know, they're all boss mates. You can tell there's a great camaraderie in the group, but them all going away and having the little stories and coming back. As I say, I bet the atmosphere was just something else.
Yeah, the camararie's always been excellent there. I think you can see from, you know, the inside Anfield and what we see on social media is really good. But the fact they've got, like you said, a story to tell. What was it last night? I played football with you. The weekend I played football with you. What did you do? Well, when I went and did this. So I think it's all good. I love the way that they went away in groups, some of them as well, because I think that just kind of shows you could easily fuck off and go away with your wife and kids or whatever. I think someone did that, but you know, the fact that someone went together just shows how close that they are.
We see Ox and Van Dijk, you know what I mean, like messing around and stuff. And again, you're only reading between the lines, because of course we don't particularly know them or whatever, but it makes me feel loads more encouraged about the whole thing. Because do you remember this, Dad, last year when we were, in fact it was the last 2 years really, when the pressure was mounting, us as fans were getting so stressed out about everything, and the pressure must be getting to the players, and we go, I don't think the pressure's getting to the players, because they're not actors. You know what I mean? These aren't like Oscar-winning actors. It would show when they talk and when they conduct themselves. This is a bunch of fellas who are playing at a level that's never been seen before in the league, and yet every single indication you get, every snippet you see from them, they just look like a bunch of people who just are absolutely on top of every element.
They like each other's company. That comes across really clearly. I mean, I think in the last couple of years, the pressure was coming from the injuries.
Yeah.
We were down to the bare bones towards the end of both seasons. Yeah. And this season, we're coming back from a break with everyone fit. Yeah. And if you look at teams winning the league, it's like they're walking quicksand the last few games in a lot of seasons. They just really start to have to grind it out. We've never looked like that.
Yeah.
And I don't expect we'll see that at all.
Well, we've seen a couple of Chelsea sides who set pace early, haven't we? Because, you know, I remember there was, Mourinho did this, I think, and Conte did something similar as well. And you're like, this is the point where you haven't come through the grind of Christmas and January or what have you, that you do start the football. This is the maddest thing. Ross kind of brought it up earlier. Look who's there, look who's fit, who's available. We could have a conversation about almost 2 11s that Liverpool could pretty much put out. There's not much conversation to be had, to be fair, because we largely know the team. But they're all coming back, stories to tell, all fit and firing, all snapping into tackles, all giving it their absolute all.
And I think a lot of it, you know, when you talk about pressure and whether they're feeling the pressure and stuff like that, I don't think if you've and I have to put myself try and put myself into their heads a little bit here, because I've never actually done this to any level. But when you've worked so hard for something your entire life, and you know how hard you work with that group of players, and to see you perform week in, week out, it's not an overconfidence. It's just, you're working hard and you're doing the right things and you're performing at the level that you now expect. Yeah. And so for them, I don't think they're feeling pressure. The only pressure is the internal pressure they're putting on themselves. Yeah. External pressure is not going to be anything to them now. They want to continue to win games and continue to dominate this league until the league's won. Yeah. And then they'll carry on going, because that's the mindset that's got them there. And they won't drop that mindset because they know they need that to win the trophies.
Absolutely. Ross, internal pressure is a really great point, and I think that the internal pressure is bigger than anything. But the difference between this and every Liverpool side that we've had in the Premier League era is that the squad that has been assembled have the right mentality to deal with that. They're creating the pressure on themselves, but they're all capable of rising to the challenge, both mentally and physically, and that's been one or the other down the years. We've had players with elite mentalities, but Sunday League level bodies at times, or we've had supreme athletes who are just mentally fragile. Whereas we've got a bunch of guys who, it was interesting to listen to the Carragher Owen podcast, and they talk about this, about what Manchester United was like, and you've got a bunch of winners there who were just driving us on to killing each other in training and getting up and laughing about it. That's what we've got right now. So it shouldn't be a surprise that the pressure isn't. We're not seeing a crumbling pressure, we're seeing a positive pressure.
Yeah, and the players that I said before went away on a break and then just trained for the whole time. That's not a surprise at this point either. Chris said it, the mentality of going, well, I'm going to let myself drop because I know in 2 weeks' time I've got to play Norwich and I've got to be fit for it, as well as other people coming back. I want to be fit for it. I need to be fit for it because there's other people coming back into it.
Because Naby Keita's there, and all our midfielders will know. Klopp will be desperate to put Naby Keita in that midfield. So Gini Wijnaldum, there's no, well, I'm just going to go and eat a bunch of Mars bars or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, whereas Robertson's got no backup, so he's sound.
Yeah, he just texts Larucci, how you doing, lad? I'm still injured. Oh, well, never mind.
One more glass of Mars bar over here, Squire.
Yeah. But I reckon the fact that they've had a choice this time, because, you're talking about being in a group of players together and, being together week in, week out. Every time we've done it before, we've been on a warm weather training camp together. Mm-hmm. So just to have the choice of going, what do you want to go and do for a week and a half or 2 weeks? That's mentally, that's so much better for the players. Going, actually, I'll take a week there, I'll go away and do this.
But it's trust.
Yeah.
He's given trust, because he mentioned it before on Klopp, didn't he? And how they've all got their own tailored routines, so they're all been getting checked. But if they wanted to be arseholes about it, they could be arseholes about it again. I remember there's a Neil Ruddock story about, in fact, it might even be a Collymore story about Neil Ruddock, whatever, is that he was meant to be on the treadmill rehabilitating, and Collymore's there with him, and basically he says to Collymore, go and keep watch on the door for me. He gets off the treadmill, starts eating a packaged butty and having a fucking can of Coke or whatever, and when he hears the trainers are coming back in, he gets a bottle of water, chucks it over his face and gets back on the treadmill to make himself look like that.
Look fat.
yeah. Go for the wet t-shirt look. But that's the difference.
See, I reckon Bobby and Fabinho went away together, but they took their girls and whatever they're called, their wags. And I reckon they did it so they could play two aside while they were away.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, say you're kicking them out against the wall.
The other thing is as well, when you're talking about the pressure and stuff like that, they're standing on the edge of making something historic here, aren't they? So, in what way do you think to yourself, I'll just slack off for a week because, I think we're going to wrap up the Prem, but they've got the Champions League as well. They're still in the FA Cup. They'll know that. So they'll be like, yeah, we want to win it all, and we want to create something. We want to be talked about as the best Premier League side ever. It's hard enough getting a Premier League title, but going down as the greatest Premier League side ever, surely that's even harder.
I think it's hard for all of us to put ourselves in that mindset, isn't it? Because it's easy to say, oh, well, take a break, but it's very it's a very, very difficult thing when you run yourself into the ground to then you have a break. Your body's natural inclination is just to go, and slump into a pit.
our body's natural
exactly,
inclination
but
is to
exactly,
do
but that's psychological and physiologically. Your average person is exactly like that. But again, I think all of our fears and issues around Liverpool, whatever few remain at this point, are born out of a combination of us putting ourselves into an absence of information, but also us comparing, presuming this Liverpool side is the same as any other Liverpool side that's gone before, and particularly for people of our age and younger, we've just seen a bunch of lots and lots of very bang average footballers with some sprinklings of magic in there, and this side is something else. And I mean, this Norwich game, that is a completely different test, you know, and in some ways it's a very, Chris alluded to it, it's a fascinating test because, you know, it's the best team in the country going up against the worst team in the Premier League. And
I was going to say that might have been a bit harsh.
Yeah, careful.
It's always the banana skin, isn't it? When everyone says, look at the disparity there can't possibly be any other result than, you know. But the thing about this team of ours is, I think first and foremost, they just don't want to lose.
Yeah.
They go into every game with that as their aim. We're not going to lose. Not we're going to win 5-0 or we're going to swagger around the pitch. We're just not going to lose. And that gives me heart for every game, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Norwich is always a tricky little game because they've got a little ground which is always vibrant, and, you know, they build up a good atmosphere.
And we don't own Luis Suarez anymore.
Well, you know, the ghost of Luis Suarez might be what kills them in the end.
It's all the banner up. Yeah, but I think this game, because I'm struggling with the whole thing, Ross, of how you do these shows. How are you meant to conduct yourself when we talk about these things? Because there should be no conversation. But the only thing I can find, that thread that I can find, is you mentioned the one with the training thing before. The times this Liverpool side that is at its weakest is actually when it's not in the mix, when it's not in the thick of the fixtures. When Klopp always talks about rhythm. When we've lost rhythm a touch, it does take us a little while to get back up to speed. Now that little while gets shorter and shorter the better this team gets, but that's the thing, it's a game away from home, you've got the vibrant away ground, you've got a Norwich team fighting for their lives. We probably see this as a bit of a free hit, maybe a great window. You know, if you scored a boss goal against Liverpool, you know, they might be looking at like Gini Wijnaldum and Andy Robertson as potential transfer moves, but also shop window situation, and Liverpool being out. These are the small threads that could add up to it being more of a problem for the Reds.
Yeah, but the other problem is, and saying
yes,
this...
Liverpool boss.
but they are, and you say a free hit for Norwich, but I read out the fixtures that they got before. They need to get points quickly on the board. Yeah. So how do they play it? But then the counter argument for that is...
Yeah, but their management team is not going into this run of fixtures going, Liverpool 3 points, is my point on that. It's a free hit because there's no expectation on them to win this game.
If they play for a point, well, they can't do that against Liverpool anymore, because they'll just play around your entire out until you physically, mentally knackered and will go and score a goal anyway. Yeah. Norwich are desperate for points. They're already 7 points behind, 19th place. They need points on the board, but if they go gung-ho and go for a win, they're just going to get slaughtered as well.
I think they will go for a win. I think they will, go out and
look what they did to Man City.
They did it towards first game of the season. They went out to win. They went out to win, and look, they got battered, and that can happen. And we've seen sides come up against us who've gone for a win and got battered. We've seen sides come up against us who've tried to play for a 0-0 draw, got battered or got beaten. There's no right way to play this Liverpool side. That's what makes it so good, isn't it? And when you're looking at like what are the potential pitfalls, and I find it really interesting. You were talking about that rhythm thing, and 5 games into an 8-game stretch, Liverpool are at the absolute peak and almost feel unbeatable, because we don't have that like 13-14 side that's reliant on a Luis Suarez magical moment. The system is what makes Liverpool great. The bond between each and every player is what makes Liverpool great, which is why we're a little bit slower to start almost, because it's the system. Everyone's just remembering it almost, and you've got those players who can do that.
You're turning the machine, aren't you? Like,
exactly.
All the cogs have got to move. They're all connected, which means they've all got to get moving. And maybe, we saw it with Fabinho coming back from injury. Maybe a slightly bigger cog. Maybe it takes a bit more force to get him round and get him up to speed. And that's the only thing. It's easy to say this now. That's the one thing, isn't it? How quickly this side is able to get back up to speed once they get onto the pitch, because it is great seeing all those videos, seeing the social media clips or the Instagram videos, and hearing all the positive stories and seeing all the great laughs and all that kind of thing. And we're talking about the elite mentality. But it's now on them to go out there and get back out on the pitch and continue to
and
do
also
it.
the fact that we do have the players that can go and score a goal out of nothing.
Yeah.
Still, you've got your Salahs, you've got your Mane if he's going to start. But the other thing about this Liverpool side is, and why it hasn't been an issue for us this season, because we're going to outwork here as well.
Yeah.
And that's not going to matter whether it's the first game of a 5-game run or the 5th game. You know, we'll go out there, we'll outwork you, and as Ross said, we'll tire you out, and we're going to score at some point, and we're going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, and the good thing is that in that regard, that is, what we've banked so far this season, not just the points we've accrued along the way, but it's the way in which we've gone about those points. It's every type of win we've done. Every type of, late wins, hammering teams, grinding 1-0s, But this is the thing: if we have to go to the 95th minute to get a late winner in this game, the muscle memory will still be there.
That's the beauty of this team, isn't it? They just don't know they're beaten, they won't give it up. So you've got to play 95 minutes against us, or you're in trouble.
Would you have one eye on Atletico in this game, though?
Not really, no. I think now, you're talking like maybe 5 games to win the Premiership. So, they've just had a break. Why worry about them playing 2 games in 5 days or 4 days?
I suppose most of this is going to be determined about by just what Klopp's seen in training, really, isn't it? Like, Mane, the lads who come back, well, it's because Mane's a weird one because he's missed a couple of games, so he'll need to play footy. I wouldn't want to drop him cold into Atletico, but I also, you don't want to do anything that might jeopardise him being at the peak of his powers.
Play the kids.
What?
Fully 11. Yeah, it's out. That'll be fine. I'd play Mane myself, and I know what you're saying, but I think this is an in-game management. I think you're right. He needs minutes under his belt before the next one of games. I think he definitely plays on Tuesday. But we've, like Chris has already mentioned, the bench that he picked for the starting level prediction show. We have the players capable of just coming in and replacing him. And it's funny you were saying about Robertson before. I think his levels might have also dropped because he had Chamberlain and Origi in front of him. And that's not a criticism of either of those, but the knowledge versus understanding thing we've been talking about. He has such a good rapport with Sadio Mane. I think that's held him back a little bit. I think if you play both of them. And Mane's going to want to score as well. Mm-hmm. He's missed a game and Salah's been scoring goals. He's going to get his name back in there, isn't he?
Yeah, Mane, we were talking before the starting 11 and I went for Chamberlain largely because you'd said, maybe keep him for Atletico. And I was like, yeah, that's good, that. But then you want minutes under his belt. So I'm just going to give Mane 20 at the end. Okay. And that suffices.
I think it just depends on how fit is he? Mm-hmm. And he's a very strange guy because he seems to be always fit.
Yeah.
It's very unusual for him to miss games.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Klopp will just think, oh yeah, he's back to his best and he goes in, or he thinks, let's ease him in a little bit before Atletico. And he's got a squad there, so he could play Oxlade-Chamberlain on the left instead of Mane for a while. Because why not?
The one thing is, he tends to play the front 3 if they're fit.
Yeah.
So it really wouldn't surprise me if he just played all 3 of them.
And that's my thing. And the more I've thought about it is because it's midfield options that allows us to do this. You play the front 3 for me, and then you stagger your substitutions from 60 minutes on, depending on how the game goes, of course. Because you can play, if you want to freshen things up for Atletico, you can make 2 changes to your midfield and not have a drop off. Whereas you can't. You want to get back up and running in the Premier League. And again, you need the rhythm. So it's probably, for me, it's probably 60 minutes for Mane, and then maybe one of the front 3 plays the full game.
Is there an argument that Keita has not played much football, and he needs games?
Yeah,
he needs minutes on 100%. The pitch. So why not play him? And in fact, it's Norwich, so why not play him and Ox together in midfield?
Bear in mind, the Keita, he gets forgotten, but he started in the new camp. He wanted him in that team, and we started Wijnaldum centre forward in that game, but it was what it was. I wonder whether if Keita was 100% fit, if we got a few more minutes for him before the break, whether he'd have been nailed on for this. But we might have to find that he probably might actually just start the Norwich game with an eye to, you need to get him up and running by the time you play Atletico at Anfield or something.
Do you know, we've said this consistently on these shows for a couple of years now, he needs minutes. Jurgen Klopp has kind of proven that no one needs fucking minutes in the squad, because he'll just play his favourite team every single week if he can. Yeah. And so I think that might be a mindset thing for us. But
Keita confuses it, because it's hard to tell whether Keita is truly in his favourite 11 or not. I think he is, but who isn't if Keita is?
I think he might have been in his favourite 11 at one point, and I think it's Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum now. And that I'd be really shocked actually if he didn't play those three against Atletico, because they're just such a physical
Yeah,
side.
I mean, I agree, but at the same time, that makes me wonder, will he play them against Norwich, or will Ox or Keita get a slot instead of Wijnaldum, say? I don't know. I mean, that's a lovely problem to have.
And is the flip of that, Ross? You go out there with this Norwich game, and you maybe it is a Keita and Ox situation because you just want to go out and.
But then it's like 3 weeks nearly since Henderson and Wijnaldum played.
Yeah.
There's arguments for everyone, isn't there? Yeah. I'm sure Ox would be pretty annoyed if he wasn't playing, because he's, his form before the break was, was phenomenal. I think he'd come back from an injury again. Yeah, he scored a couple of goals, assists, and he kind of showed. He even played out left against Southampton. I was quite surprised that he actually played pretty well. I think he cut inside quite a lot in the first half, but I was always at the mindset out left he just doesn't work, and I think he's starting to prove that he can. So
I just think it's that thing of, I think Atletico does absolutely inform this. It's the biggest game left. Pretty much until we play Man City, which might actually be a game of zero import by that point. You've got to make it. For me, it's like Fabinho's a great example of this. He still didn't look up to speed. He was like, again, slowly starting to get himself back into form. He needs minutes. If we have to start the Fabinho against Atletico away that played in the games that he's played since coming back from injury, we might be in a bit of trouble, because he's just half a yard behind his own actual, the high pace that he'd set for the rest of the season. So I for me anyway, I would be working backwards.
A week in the Maldives would have slowed down his mindset as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you've got those. That's the big question, and that's where we're gonna see a test of, I guess, the sports science people and the manager as well, of who he puts out there. But the best thing is ultimately is that we've got a ton of options. Go on, I'll ask the question. Midfield, it says we'd all go with the front three, given that if they're available, I guess.
Yeah.
Chris is pondering. You're gonna stick with the Ox?
I am, purely because I think he deserves his place in the side. And that's not to say that Mane doesn't deserve to come back into the side. Yeah, but I am going to stick with Ox for this one.
Yeah. And then in terms, anyone doing anything wild in the midfield for this?
Pedro
Kiribes earned the right. Yeah.
No, that was someone shouted that on the start 11. They asked, "Is there any chance Pedro?" And the answer was quite flat. No,
Zero.
No, there's no chance.
This type of game in, like, again, a month and a half's time, you might well find Pedro Kiribes playing Premier League games if we've got a big Champions League game on the horizon. But yeah, go on, Dad. What would you be doing midfield today?
My only query is whether he plays Wijnaldum or he plays Ox or Keita.
So you think Fabinho,
I think Wijnaldum will
now,
definitely play in Madrid. So given it's Norwich, do we need our strongest midfield, or can we play with a bit more fluidity? I don't know really.
Okay.
Don't know which one.
I'm going for Fabinho, Hendo and Keita.
That's an interesting shout. The only thing about Keita is he's been using him more on the right-hand side of the three in that little spell before Christmas where we were starting to get a tune out of him. I mean, he's not going to move Henderson again, surely. Surely not, imagine. But yeah, the Keita thing does make perfect sense. And again, working backwards, he will want Wijnaldum definitely starts in the one day, and it's whether he's, that doesn't mean he's not going to play at the weekend, because he's Gini Wijnaldum. He plays every minute that he's basically available to play. But no, it's an interesting.
See, the break has sort of skewed people's thinking, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you think, oh, we're all fit, so you'll play your best team.
But what is the best team?
He may just think, well, actually, it's Norwich, so I should play in a more attacking team. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Because again, we can make a point. Fabinho's in our best midfield, but is he? No, not. But you know what I mean. But not from the last month. He was injured. But the point is, particularly against teams like this, do you need Fabinho in midfield? Are you better not just having Henderson than a six?
DM, though, isn't he? He's more than a DM.
He is, but he's not.
I
don't think he's more than a DM in the way that Henderson's more than a DM. I think against, probably less so against Norwich, because I think they're going to come at us. I think we saw.
They play 4-2-3-1, don't they? So maybe you need the defensive mindset there to kind of.
Yeah.
Two centre backs can handle Pookie. You'd like to think, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's definitely not what you've just touched there. But yeah, it's fine. Yeah. No, again, I have no strong feelings one way or the other on it, but
I would like to think that if what I said at the beginning is right about it being the system, then you put the three players in who know the system best. And Wijnaldum and Henderson are two of those players, and I'd say Fabinho is probably the third. I think Ox and Naby Keita just haven't had as many Liverpool games as the others, and if you're worried about it and you want to get 3 points in this game, go for it. Sets them up perfectly for Madrid. Play the same 3. You don't have to rest players, as John said before, for Madrid. Rest them in the next game after that.
Yeah, and well, we've got, we don't play West Ham till Monday, do we? Afterwards, so it's one of them. If we'd played last weekend, then I think there's a very good chance Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain start this game because Fabinho needs the minutes and Keita and Ox would need the minutes as well. Because so why not? But Henderson just needs to get up to speed. Wijnaldum needs to get it back up to speed. So you're right, it might just be, we might literally start exactly the same 11, 2 games back to back because...
There's a little training game before the big one.
Oh my God, this is just going to come back to haunt us tremendously, isn't it, when Norwich absolutely slap us everywhere here. What do you think the score is going to be, Ross?
3-0.
Dad?
Say 5, John.
Say 5, John. I was actually thinking the same 5-0 with Luis Suarez ghosting around the pitch, but I think 3-1.
Okay. Chris?
2-0 Liverpool.
Okay, I'll take a 4-0 then, why not? Yes, let us know your preferred 11s in the comments section underneath. Make sure you leave a score prediction as well. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you want to check out the Starting 11 prediction show. You can. Chris, as ever, was effervescent. I've not watched it, I'm just presuming.
It was early in the day. I was okay. I was okay. I was okay.
You be the judge. Go over there and leave a comment there on Chris's level of effervescence. Rate it out of 10 in the comments section. Yes, gents, thank you very much. That's been an absolute pleasure. Look forward to seeing you all later on in the week. Thank you very much. Ta-ra.